Hello, everybody. Welcome to week 7, the second to last week of class. Okay, so this week we're focusing on revision and editing more than anything. The major assignment for this week is the reverse outline exercise, and there's the reflection post, which many of you actually have already gotten to. And of course, the draft is due tonight, although most of you have already turned it in. Well, not most of you, but many of you. Okay. So first of all, I do want to apologize for taking so long to get those outlines back to you. I had to go home, back to my family over the break. There was basically the last 3 months have been a series of family emergencies. I try not to make my business your business, but there was a surgery, and my sister is okay now, but it was very touch and go for a bit. So I had a hard time getting to the work that I needed to, and I do apologize for that. I have pushed back the final paper 2 days from that Friday to Saturday, so hopefully that'll give you guys a little bit more time. But yeah, so I do apologize. Of course, family stuff isn't necessarily an excuse for not getting to my work as soon as I would have liked, but practically speaking, it's just the way that the world works, I suppose. But everybody's doing okay now, and hopefully it'll stay that way. Yeah. Anyways, personal stuff aside, sorry about all of the late getting to everybody. This week is going to be, in some ways, as far as like stuff that is due, it's going to be a little bit less work intensive. Of course, you'll be working on your outline, or you'll be working on your draft, and you have your reflection, but that's more talking about like not just the class as a whole, and that's a pretty low intensity assignment. And then the reverse outline is the other sort of major thing that's due this week, other than of course the draft. And the reverse outline is in some ways a very easy, in some ways a somewhat challenging assignment. It's easy in that it is not particularly time intensive or work intensive. Basically, you're going to go through each paragraph of your essay, and you can condense it down into one sentence. And then the last part of the assignment is that you're going to write 2 things that you've learned about this exercise, and these should be pretty substantial things, not just like, I learned how to write, how to integrate APA or something. Like, you really do want to think like big picture. What did you learn from doing this? Okay, so the question of why we're doing this. So when we think about outlining in the first place, that's to kind of help us with the structure, help us kind of like build our argument and see if the arc of our paper makes sense with the evidence that we have. Whether the arc of our argument is going to work. Sometimes you may find you might have a section that feels disconnected. It doesn't actually point back to the thesis, and that's a lot of stuff that you can kind of hash out in the regular outline. The reverse outline is interesting in that it focuses a lot on unity, and it focuses a lot on sort of the same skills that we developed when we were learning how to summarize earlier. When we think about summarizing other people's work, that comes kind of second nature to us, because in many ways, K through 12, a lot of the writing you do is summarization, or very maybe low-key synthesization. So the reverse outline is asking you to do that to your own work, which can be challenging. And it makes you look at your own work more objectively, and it makes you think of your own writing in an academic or at least critical way that you might not necessarily. If you find yourself having a very hard time summarizing a paragraph, you might think, you might think a lot of things. You might think that maybe your paragraph is too massive, that there's no way you can actually summarize it. You might think to yourself, oh wait, I'm summarizing this, but it doesn't seem to have a point. After you summarize it, you might see that it's not fitting in. Either way, by using this kind of exercise, an objective look at your own work, like you might in somebody else's work, you can start noticing the same kind of problems you might see in other people's works. Also, you'll notice strengths that you might not, like objectively. Like a lot of times we come into these kind of assignments thinking that we're bad writers, and you might like think to yourself, wow, I really did write a firm and well-rounded paragraph, and this does fit in. So there's like sort of that level of revision that can be very helpful. But also, just like the outline, where we're working on a organization on a big level, this helps us with that too. By boiling our paragraphs down and summarizing to their essence in one sentence, you start seeing how they relate to each other much more easily than you might even in outline structure. In outline structure, there might be so much text in between part A and part B that when you're trying to like look at it as a big picture in an organization, you might think, okay, these two things do follow each other fairly well. Whereas when you're working paragraph by paragraph and when you're boiling down that sentence, you might say, well, yes, paragraphs 3 and 4 are about the same thesis topic, but maybe it makes more sense to have the one happen before the other. And what that might mean is that you'll have to rewrite parts of the paragraph to make that work, but by boiling it down to its essence, what you might find is that you are seeing where the unity, because when you think about unity in a paper, you think about how things flow, how things like work in context with each other. You might find that it's a lot easier to notice discrepancies when you're really looking at these basic units that we're creating here. So those are two of the really strong reasons why we do this. It allows us to teach ourselves about our own writing in a way that we've sort of gotten used to examining other people's writing, and it allows us to see our writing a little bit more objectively. Especially in this class where some people have chosen topics that are very personal to them, it might be hard to look objectively at your paper. I'm not saying that means your paper's bad or anything. It's just sort of second nature when we're really passionate about something. So by boiling it down to these bullet points, that might also help us step away from ourselves and really see, okay, how can I tweak this? What can I move around? Like I said, it might make you realize that a paragraph that you wrote can't stand alone. Maybe it needs to be broken up. Maybe it needs more information. So there's a lot of ways that this can be helpful. Okay. So that's the other big assignment. There's some suggestions for revision that I've included. There's also a chapter that's pretty useful. Library Guide also has some pretty interesting stuff. So I'm going to keep this video kind of short. I just got back into town, was pretty exhausted, and just it's been a hard week. But yeah, so that's really what we're doing this week. Of course, finishing up your essay. We're working on the reflection, which again, hopefully shouldn't be too bad. The reflection is not meant to overtax you. Just asks, a couple questions. And then this reverse outline. Next week is when the final essay is due. That will be due on the Sunday. I will absolutely, assuming I don't have to leave in a hurry, I'll definitely have the comments back to you by Friday, and that should give you about a week with comments, a little over a week. What that does mean, though, is that won't be able to take, and I wouldn't have been able to anyways, I won't be able to take your revisions late because everything has to be due graded by a certain time. I think that's the 17th or 16th. But yeah, so I'll have more information about that next week. But anyways, I hope you all had a fantastic Thanksgiving, and I look forward to talking to you all soon. And I will have your comments back to you as quickly as I can. Thank you, and have a wonderful afternoon. Bye.